Hello, friends. Thanks for joining me today. In a world that often feels noisy and disconnected, how can we create spaces for genuine connection and understanding? Today, we'll turn to the wisdom of the forest to discover how to cultivate more meaningful conversations. By the end of this video, we'll have a fresh perspective to transform our conversations and deepen our connections. I walked through a forest recently, and honestly, it was just breathtaking. The sheer variety of life, the way everything is linked. It made me realize how complex and interconnected everything is, just like our conversations, and how approaching them with curiosity can open up a whole new world of understanding. Have you ever walked away from one feeling like you just didn't connect? Like you were talking at each other, not with each other? I know I have, and honestly, it's frustrating. Walking through here surrounded by this complex ecosystem made me see a parallel. If nature thrives on interdependence and balance, why can't we? It got me thinking, how often do we really listen? I mean, really listen. Not just waiting for our turn to talk, but actually trying to understand. I've been trying to do better at that myself, and it's harder than it looks. Let's just spend a few minutes thinking about it together. As I walked, I noticed how the sunlight filtered through the canopy, creating these amazing patterns. Every fallen leaf, every bird song is part of the intricate web of life. And just like this forest, our conversations are complex too. Speaking of complexity, you see these vines? Sometimes they can completely strangle a young tree. Focused only on reaching the sunlight, the vine wins and the tree dies. That's what happens when one side is focused only on winning in nature and in our lives. That kind of win often leads to a great loss for the other side. But then, look at the symbiotic relationships between fungi and tree roots. The fungi provide nutrients and water, and the trees provide sugars. It's a compromise, a balance, where both benefit. That's what we're aiming for in our conversations, isn't it? You know, something else struck me as I walked. Just like in nature, where everything has its own role, in our conversations, we need to be part of the same ecosystem. Imagine a fish trying to live in a forest or a squirrel trying to swim in the ocean. They're not in the right environment, the right ecosystem to thrive. It's the same with our conversations. If we're not operating with a shared understanding, a shared ecosystem of ideas, we're going to struggle to connect. Think about it like this. Imagine trying to play a game of basketball with someone who thinks they're playing football. You're dribbling the ball, they're trying to tackle you. It's chaos. You're not referencing the same rules, the same ecosystem of understanding. It's the same with our conversations. And you know, sometimes it's not just about misunderstanding the rules of the game. Sometimes we're playing entirely different games altogether. It's like one person is playing chess, focused on strategy and logic, while the other is playing building blocks, focused on creativity and feeling. Both are valid ways to play, but they require different approaches and have different goals. Imagine a thinker trying to make a decision based on pure facts, and a feeler focused on how that decision will impact the people involved. They might struggle to understand each other, right? But here's the beautiful thing. Just like in this forest, diversity is key to a thriving ecosystem. We need both thinkers and feelers to navigate the complexities of life and conversation. The key is to recognize and appreciate these differences. Next time you feel like you're talking past someone, take a moment to consider, are you a thinker trying to connect with a feeler or vice versa? Maybe you're both playing a different game with different rules and goals. Once you understand that, you can start to bridge the gap. Try to see the world through their eyes, appreciate their perspective, and find a way to connect on a deeper level. It might not be easy, but just like in this forest, the most beautiful and resilient ecosystems are often the most diverse. I've been noticing, especially online, how easy it is to just jump to conclusions. Someone says something I don't agree with, and I feel myself shutting down. But lately, I've been trying to pause and ask myself, what if I'm missing something? Or what if there's a balance I'm not seeing? It's not always easy, and I definitely don't get it right all the time. But even just trying to be more curious, it changes things. Like in this forest, there's always a bit of struggle, a give and take, and I think that's true in our conversations too. We need to find that balance, and that sometimes means seeing what we've missed. So what does this look like in practice? Well, I'm still figuring it out, but I'm trying to ask more questions. Instead of saying you're wrong, I'm trying to say, that's interesting, tell me more. Or, I'm curious, what makes you say that? It's like exploring this forest with someone. You wouldn't just tell them what to see, you'd explore together, right? And maybe, if we're lucky, we'd both see something new. And sometimes we might discover that we simply see things differently. We can agree to disagree, or we may need to find a compromise that we can live with. If we aim to win instead of compromise, we risk damaging relationships, creating resentment, and missing opportunities for growth and understanding. Here's a challenge for you this week. In your next conversation, try to ask one open-ended question before sharing your own opinion. See if you discover something new and if you can find a way for both sides to benefit. And make sure you are both operating within the same ecosystem of understanding. I don't have all the answers. I'm just thinking out loud, really. And I'm wondering if maybe we all tried to be a little bit more curious, a little bit more open to finding balance, and made sure we were operating within the same ecosystem, things might be a little different. Maybe we'd understand each other a bit better. What do you think? Have you ever had a moment where you realized you were missing something? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Remember that nature can teach us a lot about living a good life. Thanks for taking this little walk with me. Until next time, stay curious.